Good morning. Welcome to the Temple Municipal Court. My name is Judge Person. I do welcome everybody to court this morning. I have let everybody in that's pending so far. If more people need to come in, I'll break to do that quickly. I do want to let you know a few things before we get started. I want to let you know that this is live court. We are streaming on YouTube. I want to also let you know that the same rules apply here that would apply in all courts in Texas. Okay. And even though we have the convenience of being online and not having to come to court, we are in court and the actions that we take here are binding. Okay. I also want to let you know that when you're given a ticket or issued a citation, those are methods that we have under the law in the Class C setting, which this court is a Class C court. Those are all methods that we have for accusing someone. That is what a ticket is. It is an accusation. And when you give a plea, you're giving an answer or a response to that accusation. There are three options for pleading: guilty, not guilty, and no contest. Now, if you plead guilty, you're saying, I did this. You're admitting that offense. If you plead no contest, you're allowing the court to find you guilty, but without admitting or denying the offense. If you plead no contest, then you're doing the same motion, we're moving in the same direction, towards sentencing as if you plead guilty, but without admitting or denying the offense. It's a neutral movement forward into sentencing, if you will. If you plead not guilty, which you have the absolute right to do, then we're moving that case toward trial and we don't do sentencing at that point. So if you plead guilty or no contest, we move forward. Normally, that means having the item go on your record and paying fines and costs. Now, payment is very individualized. People are in different circumstances, and I'll need to look at those circumstances if we get to that point, okay? Having your record affected is a different issue from payment, and there are options for keeping an item off of your record. I'm going to talk about those in a moment, okay? Now, if you plead not guilty, we're not doing any of that. We're moving toward trial. And we have a pretrial that is online. It's not meeting today, but it normally does meet online. And if the case remains unresolved, we start moving that case toward a trial process, which is a live process. Okay. So we'll set that case for an online pretrial, a live pretrial. And then if we get to that live pretrial, we're moving it to the trial process. Give me just a moment. Let me add this new person. I don't know who it is. It's a phone number. So we'll be looking to see who that is in just a quick moment. I just admitted you, person on the phone, and the last three digits of the phone number is 548. Could you please tell me who you are? Phone caller, I'm asking you to unmute and identify yourself, please. It can be difficult for someone to figure out what to do on their phone. Hello, if you're on the phone, good morning. Okay, if you're on the phone and you're not identifying yourself, you're welcome to watch us live on YouTube. If you have a matter pending with the court, I do need to identify you. If I'm not able to do that, I will remove you from the meeting. Please identify yourself. Can we check phone numbers quickly? Do we have phone numbers on the? We already have. Is it Mr. Westbrook? Are you on the phone? Stephen. No, it's not Westbrook. And the other three did not give us a phone number that I can tell. Okay. Well, if you're on the phone, I don't think you can hear us. I don't think I know who you are, and I'm going to remove you, and you can call back and maybe get a better connection. All right, we'll move forward. So back to what I was saying a moment ago. Uh, moving in the trial direction is your absolute right. We all have the right to have a jury or a judge. We have a right to a jury to hear our case. Okay. So if you have not entered a plea and you enter a plea of not guilty, we're moving that case toward a trial process. If you plead guilty or no contest, we're working out sentencing. Let me talk about the 5 ways to keep an item off your record, and then I'll start taking people in the order that they've appeared. So, one would be, okay, Marisol. I don't know. 5-4 something. Okay. Uh, Miss Bautista, welcome. I'm talking with everybody. I'll keep you on mute. You're a little bit late, and so you've missed part of the introduction. If you'll listen carefully as I work with other people, you'll probably have most of it by the time I get to you, and I'll refresh everything at that point, okay? But where I am right now is just letting people know there are 5 ways to remove an item from your record up front. So the first one would be if you qualify for something that can be dismissed because you bring it up to date. That's called a compliance dismissal. The second would be if you qualify and you complete a driver safety course option for moving violations. The third would be if you do a deferred disposition, which is a neutral way, which is a way to keep an item off your record that doesn't qualify for those first 2. I'll talk about that in just a moment. And the fifth would be or the fourth would be teen court, if you qualify and you successfully complete teen court. And the fifth is if the prosecutor on the not guilty trial docket decides to dismiss. Okay. Now, the first one, compliance dismissals, those are regulated by state court. And if you have something like that, that's usually like registration or bald tires that you repair or replace. If you have something like that, I'm just going to tell you because I don't expect people to know. Notably, the insurance is not one that you can get after the stop. If it was in effect at the time of the stop, then I need to see it. Okay, this person with the phone number is back, so maybe we can get a better sense of it. I'll let that person in just a moment. If insurance is one that can only be dismissed if it was in effect at the time of the stop. And I get that question so much that I just want to go ahead and answer it up front. Driver safety, I'll automatically screen you and see if you're qualified to be in that program. The deferred disposition is something you need to request today if you enter a plea for the first time. The way that you do that is plead guilty or no contest and ask, may I have a deferred? The way the deferred works is it's a period of time where you are on good behavior. We sort out your fines and costs. I put conditions in place like a class that might be due, not reoffending, etc., and payment. At the end of the deferral period, if you've successfully gotten through that deferral period and met the conditions that are written down on your order, which you will have a copy of, then I sign a dismissal. Teen court is for high school and middle school students. You're probably automatically qualified if you're in high school or middle school. And it works otherwise similarly to a deferred in that there will be things for you to do to gain that dismissal. Okay. Let me admit this person and try to connect with them again. Hello, are you on phone? Great.
Hello,
Hi, what is your name, please?
Eddie Westbrook.
Okay, Mr. Westbrook. I'm going to mute you, but when I unmute you, you'll need to do like you just did. Okay. I needed to identify you earlier, and I couldn't get you to connect where I could hear you. So I hoped
Yes,
maybe
ma'am.
you've got a better connection now, and I'm glad you're in the meeting. I've been giving information out. If you'll listen as I work with other people, you'll probably catch a lot of it, and then I'll review it when I get to you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So those are the 5 ways to gain a dismissal. Again, compliance, which I'll tell you about, driver safety, which I'll pre-screen you for, a deferred disposition, which is like probation, and you must request that one when you enter your first plea, teen court, and then on the not guilty docket if the prosecutor recommends a dismissal. I don't see her doing that a lot, but it is something that if you're pleading not guilty, you can talk to her about. Okay. Our prosecutor is named Nicole Warren. She's not here today. She's not required to be here today, but she will be. You'll be scheduled to meet with her on a plea of not guilty. Okay. I'm taking people in the order that they showed up to the meeting while you were pending, and that means that I start with Alexander Rangel. And Mr. Rangel, I'm going to ask that you unmute now. Good morning.
Morning.
Turn up your volume, make sure I can really hear you, okay?
All
Still pretty
right.
faint.
All right.
Let me try one thing. Now I've got you all the way up. So turn your volume all the way up. That's going to help you a lot.
All right.
There we go. Okay, so first I want to see, that's Mom with you, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and ma'am, what is your name?
Catherine Rangel.
Thank you, Ms. Rangel. Catherine. And the first thing I want to ask you, Alexander, is did you understand the options for pleading guilty, not guilty, and no contest?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay, just to review, and we've got some folks that just got into guilty is I did this, admitting that offense. Not guilty is really I want a trial, and no contest is really I'm not going to say I did it. I'm not going to say I didn't do it. I just want to move forward. Let's move forward today with sentencing judge. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Do you have questions about those plea options?
No, I don't got no questions.
Okay. And Mom, do you feel like Mr. Rangel understands what's happening here today?
Yeah, we were looking at the requesting the teen court. Does he do that before he pleads?
I assume you want that on a plea of guilty or no contest. But first I take a plea because I can't send it to someone unless their plea allows me to do it. So,
Okay, I just didn't want him to do it like opposite.
right.
I didn't want him to miss the opportunity if he, however.
Okay. Give me just a moment. Mr. Westbrook has now entered the waiting room 2 different ways. Let me see what's going on. Hi, Mr. Westbrook. Mr. Westbrook, once you're connected to audio, I just would ask you to mute yourself if you're not muted, and I will work with you shortly. It looks like you're in by phone as well as visually, and I don't know if that's needed, but if it's needed, that's fine. But I am working with someone else at the moment, so just hold tight. Okay, so Mr. Rangel, first I want to see, we send a packet of paperwork to you, your juvenile paperwork, okay? And these are labeled at the bottom in the bottom right corner, 1 through I believe 5, might be 6, 1 through 6. Did you receive that?
We got the download, yes.
Okay. Are you looking at that paperwork at this time?
We got one that says notice
Like this
to
one?
appear.
Yeah, that's one thing.
All right. Then yes.
But we also sent first a series of papers. Okay. And the first one is called Juvenile Magistrate Warnings and Forms. And it has a big number 1 at the bottom.
It was in the email or was it sent by mail?
By regular mail.
No, we didn't get anything by regular mail. We got this by regular mail, but it was only 2 pages.
Okay. And you check your email.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up the email. I thought when she told me that there was stuff with the email, I thought it was just the instructions, so I didn't print it. But I'm gonna reopen the email and look. Sorry.
It's okay. That's why we're taking the time. We want to get on the same page.
Yeah, that just says rules for online court.
Okay. We're emailing those to you right now. Do you have a connection?
Yes, I can do my email on my phone and then we can look and then still talk.
Sometimes, I mean, I can read them to you, which I'll kind of do anyway. But to be honest, not everybody catches information that way. It's not everybody's thing. So what I'll do is let's get those to you. We're sending them here in just a quick moment. And I'm going to move quickly to the next person and then come right back to you. Okay? So
Yeah,
just hold on a moment. We'll get on the same page and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I'll get back to that one. I'm going to go move to Ms. Cox. Ms. Cox, thank you for unmuting. I do want to welcome you to the Temple Municipal Court. You are 14 today. Where is your parent? Perfect. What's your name, please?
Robin Schneider.
Thank you, Ms. Schneider.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that SCH or S?
SCH.
Okay. All right. The charge is a theft under $100. If you pay the ticket, it's $296. First, Ms. Cox, let me ask you, did you understand the conversation regarding whether you're guilty, not guilty, or no contest, those 3 pleas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how old are you today?
14.
Okay. And where do you go to school?
Temple High School.
And are you freshman,
Yes,
sophomore?
ma'am. I'm a freshman.
Okay. And did you receive the packet of information
Yes, ma'am.
labeled
Yes,
1 through
ma'am.
5?
I
Have you had a
did.
chance? Yes, ma'am. Have you had a chance to look at that information?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The first one, and Mr. Rangel will, if you want to listen, this is going to be true for you as well. Okay. So, and I think I actually have another juvenile present, Marisol Bautista. Ms. Stevens, I think you're no longer a juvenile, but, and I think we're talking about something else today, but you'll probably recall from your case as well. You're charged with the offense of theft under $100 in your case, Ms. Cox. That is a Class C misdemeanor. You have the right to hire an attorney to represent you. You have the right to have an attorney present to and prior to and during any interviews or questioning by peace officers or attorneys representing the state. You have the right to remain silent. You're not required to make a statement. Any statement made by you can be used against you in court. You have the right to stop any interviews or questioning at any time. Your signature at the bottom of this page is an acknowledgement that you've received these warnings. Do you feel like you understand these warnings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any questions about them?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Will you be able to sign that and get that to me? We'll talk about how to get that to me shortly. Okay. Go ahead and make signature at the bottom. And we'll move to the next page, which says number 2 at the bottom. On this page, and it's called a statement or change of address of a residential address, we have your address printed at the top. If that address is correct, is it correct? I don't want to read it online.
Yes, ma'am. It is correct.
Okay, then you would check the first box and you and mom would both sign that. Okay. And we'll move to the next page, which is labeled 3.
2, 3.
On that page, what we're telling you is in the first box, I need to confirm your address and age. I mean, sorry, your phone, your date of birth and your age. And again, I don't read those things out online. But if you'll look there and just tell me, write in your good date of birth, and Mom, if you'll do the same. And then the next part of that, what that will tell you is there is a duty to keep your address current at all times until your case is completed. And completed here means a zero balance or a dismissal, whichever is most appropriate for your case, okay? And once the case is considered completed, then you no longer have a duty to keep your address current, okay? So you're just signing saying you understand that duty. The next page, sorry, do you have questions about that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, the next page is just another thing to be aware of. And it's actually called a child contempt warning. Texas law says if you're 17 or under, sorry, if you're under 17, so if you're 16 or younger, you are considered a child for criminal purposes, for criminal statutory purposes. So technically you're considered a child even though you're really a young adult. But legally speaking, what you need to understand is that when I make a court order today, that court order is a binding document, okay? And if you fail to follow that court order, if you don't do what's ordered in that document, then essentially what's happening is that you're in contempt, and I can hold you in contempt and give you additional consequences, okay? So that could include more fines, that can include when you become an adult arresting you, etc. So you really need to understand that contempt is something you don't want. And if you can't fulfill your court order, you need to get back into court and talk to me about what's going on and why you're not doing what you were ordered to do, okay? So that I don't have to take that measure and hold you in contempt. And so you're just acknowledging, hey, I'm letting you know that, okay? And that one's labeled 4. And now we're finally to the end of the stack of things. And then the last 2 pages are labeled 5 and 6. 5 is really a long legal explanation of what I'm about to tell you. And that is that if you are under 17 and you get a conviction on your record, you can apply to the court where you got the conviction, ask for it to be removed from your record. In other words, if you're convicted of this offense and it's on your record, when you turn 17, you can come back to this court and say, remove every trace of that from my history. And I would do that. Okay. So there is a way to keep something from being long-term for you. Okay. And it just tells you, come back to the court where you got the conviction. And that's the thing people need to know because they need to know where to go. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I will work with you shortly about how to get that paperwork back from you. Assuming that you've signed it all, we're going to move forward. On the charge of theft under $100, where the fines and costs are $296, the allegation date is for January 30th, okay? And my question for you is, how are you pleading to that charge?
I'm pleading guilty.
Okay. Now, before we even do teen court, there is a hidden option for gaining a dismissal for a first-time theft with this court, which is an agreement I have worked out with the prosecutor. Thefts really affect your future. And so we have a program designed to try to get you some intervention now and address your record. And so what that would look like is I would reschedule you for a month from today. That would be April 6th. And you must attend, okay? It's mandatory. You have to be on time.
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to that date, you would take an online theft intervention class,
Mhm.
get a certificate of completion for that class, and turn it into the court. On that day, April 6th, you would meet with me in this meeting again, I'd review your certificate and make sure it's all been done. I'd talk to you briefly about it, and I would sign a dismissal.
Eye contact.
You would pay for the class, but you wouldn't pay for the ticket. It
Yes.
would be dismissed from your record and would not be a conviction. Okay. Are you interested in that program?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Mom, don't you feel like that would be a good idea?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What I want to ask you, and let me get your pronunciation of your name right. Are you Kydra or Kedra?
It's Kydra.
Kydra, got it the first time. Okay. Kydra, what's your long-term goal? What do you want to do when you get older?
I think an
Thought you were gonna be
RN
up there.
or therapist. Yeah.
Sorry?
An RN or a therapist.
Okay. So that's great. And we need those folks, okay? What I need to tell you is that if this case becomes a conviction, for sure you won't be approved to go to RN school or therapy school. Okay? Texas will not license you if you're convicted of a theft. Because when you're a therapist, when you're a nurse, or anything in that field, you're working with vulnerable people. And if the law perceives that you're someone who would steal, they will not put you with vulnerable people with a license on it. Okay? Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Yes, ma'am.
So our theft intervention class is we are a hospital community, and a lot of folks are interested in those fields. Great fields, and it's a great goal. Okay? And I don't want you to give up on that goal. What I want you to do is focus on getting this class done early, get it turned into me, and be on time to court so that I can sign that dismissal for you and you can open that future back up for yourself. Do you care about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mom, you're going to stay on her and make sure it happens.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all are going to have to pay for the class. It shouldn't run you more than about $50.
Okay.
Give or take, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
In teen court, I would have had you do the same thing. You would pay more for it, the option of dismissal. So this is even an earlier frontline intervention, if you will. Okay, we need some intervention because stealing is going to be the wrong direction for your future. Okay, and I want you to open that future back up for yourself. Right? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so y'all are local. I need y'all to come by and sign the reset form, pick up the packet of theft option classes. They're all online, and bring me that signed paperwork that you did earlier, okay?
All right.
Can you get here before lunchtime?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We can.
Okay. All right, when you get here, the door is locked. That doesn't mean you can't come in. It means we need to know that you're here. It means we need to screen you for COVID and put a mask on. Come on in. Mom needs to come too, or another parent. Sign all the paperwork. Shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes. That'll minimize exposure, okay? Possibilities, okay? We want to keep you safe. And then your next meeting will be online. Before then, you can email us the certificate of completion to the court online help that sent you the meeting, and we'll send you the meeting notice that way too. So you can use that email to communicate with us, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to remove you from the meeting. Before I do that, Mom, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving back to Mr. Rangel. Hi, Mr. Rangel.
Hello?
Very good. Okay, did you get the paperwork?
Yeah, we got it printed off.
Okay, and just to refresh your memory, you're charged with possession of tobacco by a minor, which is a Class C offense. If you paid the ticket, it is $286. Also, state law requires upon conviction that I order a tobacco intervention class for you to take, okay? And that's a legal requirement or consequence as well. Do you understand those consequences?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On page 1, we've got the warnings for the magistrate, which is really the right to hire an attorney, the right to remain silent. Do you understand those warnings and rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then I'll ask for your signature at the bottom. And we'll move forward, okay? I'm not trying to rush you though, if you have questions, but I know people start feeling like it gets redundant.
No questions.
Okay, the next page, page 2, this one is really confirming that we have the right address to communicate with you. I don't read people's addresses, birth dates, or socials online, but I want to ask, we have it printed at the top. That's in Moody. Is that a correct address for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you're both going to sign that one. And we'll talk about how to get that from you here shortly. Page 3, moving forward. Again, just let you know, you have a duty to keep your address current. Let me make sure and confirm on that page as well, you and mom's dates of birth and ages. And then just to be clear, what you're signing for says, you know you have a duty to keep your address current until your case is completed. And completed really means a zero balance or a dismissal, whichever is appropriate for your case, okay?
Okay.
The 4th page just says court orders are enforceable by law. If I make an order today and you don't do it, then we turn that into a contempt hearing, okay? And that can include arrest even, but fines up to $500 as well. I can also suspend either your driver's license or your ability to obtain one. So just understand that. And then finally, page 5 and 6, a little bit different on this one for you when you drill down into the fine print. The thing that has to do with, tobacco is once you become legally able to purchase tobacco products, which is 17, 18, excuse me, 18, I'm sorry, 18. At that point, if you have a conviction, you can have it removed from your record, okay?
All right.
If you're convicted, all right? Okay. Do you have any questions about any of those documents that you've signed?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you feel like you can sign all of those effectively, acknowledging your duties, responsibilities, and outcomes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To the charge of possession of tobacco by a minor, how are you pleading? So guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Okay. Teen court is really the thing that we would look at first. With teen court, there's a $20 fee. Can you pay that fee today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what I would order, well, first I would ask you, tobacco, where'd you get it?
Someone at school.
Okay. Is it something that you've developed a habit of?
No, ma'am.
How many times do you think in your life you've smoked a cigarette or tobacco product or ingested it orally?
Maybe like 5 or 8, maybe total.
Okay. All right. So really, we're looking at a tobacco intervention class. Okay. And that would be if you can complete that within a month. And right now I'm doing online because I give them the option right now with Teen Court. I'm sorry, I'm talking to a case manager. Give me 1 second. Of completing the ones that we normally send them to. A lot of those aren't meeting right now. So I give them that, and then I give them also court solutions as a possibility. So I'm going to give you a list of places, and you'll pick one that will work the best with your schedule and get it done within a month, which is April 6th. And we'll reset your case to that day to turn in. And if it's been turned in, then I do a dismissal.
Okay.
Yes, they're paying that today. Okay, so to pay that fee, it's actually going to be cash, or did we take checks on that? We can take a cash or check. Can we get y'all here today to get that to us? Okay. What's the best time? Mom's probably driving you because you're 15. What time should we look for you, roughly?
Probably come right after this, and then I'll bring him to school after that. So
Okay, so before lunchtime is appropriate.
correct.
Okay. You'll sign everything up. Now, I'm actually not scheduling another court date for you because with teen court, it's a final date. So as long as you've turned everything in, you won't need to come back to court. You can email that over to us to the same email where we sent the meeting notice for today. If you got it done, for example, this week and emailed it to us at the end of the week or next week, I would go ahead and sign that dismissal. But the no later than deadline is going to be April 6th. Okay.
Okay.
If I don't get it from you, I'll set you for a hearing. But it would be better if you just drop me a note and tell me what's wrong. Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would just expect you to turn it in. Okay. Do you feel like you understand what I'm asking you to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Turn in your paperwork, sign your order when you're here, pay your $20 fee, turn in your class by April 6th. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If I dismiss, then the $286 goes away.
Okay.
And this is not on your record, it's a dismissal. Just a quick note for you to know. I take tobacco cases very seriously. I know young people think it's not a big deal. Maybe someone in their family smokes, maybe their friends smoke. What I think you'll find from the class is financially, it's really a commitment. It can really change your lifestyle. Really, people find that tobacco is expensive enough that if they quit, they can live better. They can actually like have a car payment, for example. Another thing you'll find is health-wise, it's really it will kill you. It'll kill you slowly. It killed my mother, or it's killing my mother. It killed my mother's twin sister outright. It just killed her. COPD killed her. I've known people who died from cigarette smoke. Okay. It took a while, so you don't notice at first, but eventually it will get you. You'll heal slower from anything that happens to you. COVID, for example, is something that people are healing more slowly from if they're a smoker. I have a good friend neighbor affected that way. People who have a car wreck will find that their muscle injuries will heal much more slowly. It just will affect literally everything. Okay. And financially, it will really hit your pocketbook. So it's a good time right now to understand it may feel like a thing to do, but really ultimately, once you're addicted to a thing like that, it's really hard to quit. And I watched both my parents struggle their whole lives with that addiction. And lots of people that I know, good people who just find that it's really difficult to shake. So I don't think you're there yet. And now's the time to really think about a different option. Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
So hopefully you'll take that to heart, literally, because it will affect your heart too. Okay. All right. We'll see you at the window shortly. If you wind up with questions, let a clerk know. If it's something that they can't answer, they'll make sure that I get you an answer. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We didn't sign every single one of these. We can sign them when we're there.
Yeah, you can
Or
sign them when
do you-
you're here, or you can
Okay.
sign them before you bring them, whichever works best. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you shortly.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Ms. Stephen, I have you next. Let me kind of look. We've had a very difficult time just getting you to where we can communicate. We've tried a bunch of different things. I'm glad you're here today. I'm really glad to see you. When I saw you log in, I was really happy about that because I feel like we're just not on the same page. We have judgments against you for large amounts of money. My opinion was that we would do community service. I think we've tried that and it didn't happen. We then tried a payment plan. That's not happening either. I don't really know your income level. Are you still in school?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a senior.
Okay. Where do you go to school? Are you homeschooled?
No, ma'am. I go to Edwards Academy.
Okay. Great. Your job is, of course, part-time because you're in school, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I can reorder community service in your case. Or I can go with a payment plan.
I'm kind of struggling right now, so I would suggest community service.
Well, you're eligible, so I can grant that.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me get your total, but I need to see some progress with these cases. Okay? We need
Yes,
to
ma'am.
get somewhere with it. How do you get to work?
My mom takes me, or my sister.
Okay. What's her total balance? 1469.90. Oh, I'm sorry, 1158. Okay. Giving you triple credit up front, that turns into 74 hours.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give it 60 days to start out with. I
Okay.
don't actually think that's enough time. Okay. But I need some progress from you before I start pushing that out. And I haven't had any progress on this for a while. So, what I'd like to do is just kind of see that we're getting somewhere. And then I
Yes,
can
ma'am.
give you, if I know you're on the right track, I can give you a big window. So,
Yes, ma'am.
what I want to see is in 60 days, you've got a provider picked out, you're communicating with that provider, and you've got maybe some hours,
Yes, ma'am.
5, 10, 20, whatever. And then turn those in and ask for an extension. That'll tell me you know how to keep up with something. And that
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't need to issue a warrant to get your attention. Okay.
Yes.
And then I can give you lots of time. I can work with you on time. But I
Yes.
need to see that you're doing your part and that you're involved and you're committed to getting your court order completed. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Now, I need you to come by, sign for the community service, which is a waiver that says you're out there at your own risk. Don't do things you can't physically do, etc. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And that, I will also give you a list of places where you can do the work. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't take paid community service. I don't take food donation community service because if you can pay for those things, you can pay your fines. Okay. I want you working in the community.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
Don't do things that you physically can't do. If you've got a physical reason you can't do something, talk to your doctor and get your doctor to give me a note telling me the problem. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you have questions?
I've never done community service, so like, what is it? Like, what do I do?
Well, that's why I give you a list, okay? Churches, food banks. We have things at the Parks Department where you go out and work on the golf course. We've got things like you're helping over at, some of the different food banks. Those
Yes,
are the
ma'am.
most common things. We also have, I just haven't looked at my list right lately. The recycling place takes volunteers, sorting. There's a lot of different things, and I kind of leave it up to you because I've actually found people really like something that they pick to go do that they've been interested in, and they go get a job doing that. So really, you can use it as a time to kind of explore how you like to interact with the community. Right now we've got a lot of hungry people, so that's an opportunity in our community. Here recently, we had a lot of opportunities to help people with water because they didn't have water. But our golf course also needs help. Our tennis courts need help. They're not all city of Temple. The thrift stores that sell goods to make money to benefit, the homeless or folks who are needy or folks who are disabled. Those are all opportunities, right? And
Yes,
so you
ma'am.
can look for something that works with your schedule. You can look for something that is interesting to you. People approach that a lot of different ways.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of it doesn't involve interacting with anyone. Some of it involves interacting with lots of people. So those are decisions that you make. I don't make those for you because really I'm not here to handhold people and tell them how to be. I just want those hours, knowing you went out, found a thing to do to contribute, got me those hours back. It just
Yes,
has to be a nonprofit. My list is not exclusive, okay? If you find a nonprofit that you like, just call the call in and check with the case manager and make sure it's one that I will ultimately approve so that you don't do a bunch of hours and find out that it's not going to be approved and then you've wasted time. Probably
Yes, ma'am.
not learn something and that's cool. But honestly, just double check with us if you go off the list.
Okay.
Um, Edwards Academy in the past has been a place where people have done some of their hours. And that's another thing to understand is you don't have to get all the hours from one place. People
Okay.
usually do because they just start ticking away and that's a relationship they build. But you can go to more than one place. In the past, Edwards was a place where people did some community service. And that principal over there has been friendly in the past to it. It's been a while and it's a new principal, so I don't know. You can ask if you feel comfortable. If you don't want to be there any longer than you already are, then you don't have to do that either. So check in with a few places, but school is a nonprofit. It's a government nonprofit. Okay, so it would count. I don't put it on the list because you can't just call Edwards randomly and say, let me come over and do community service, but students sometimes can.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So just get creative. But if you're getting real creative, call the case manager and make sure it's going to be okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I need you to come over today, sign off, and pick up your packet of paperwork. Can you do that today?
Yes, ma'am.
What time can we expect you?
I believe my mom gets off of work at like 1, so
Sometime
probably.
this afternoon
Yes, ma'am.
before 4:30?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. We'll see you then. Okay. Do you have questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bautista, I'll ask you to unmute. Good morning.
Good morning.
And is this your dad?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name, sir?
Filemon Bautista Cruz.
And say the first name again.
Philemon.
Salomon?
Philemon.
Spell that for me.
Filemon.
Salomon Bautista Cruz. Okay. Thank you. The charges, sorry.
I'm sorry. My dad, he doesn't speak English, but he can understand a little.
Okay. Does he know that you have tickets?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And one is for no driver's license, no licencia, and the other is for failing to yield the right of way turning left at an intersection.
Yes, ma'am.
If you pay, the license is $181. Would you tell him?
Que el pago para la licencia. Okay.
And also the other one is $269. Sir, do you understand?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Bautista, do you understand that you have the option of pleading not guilty, guilty, or no contest?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On the license charge, how are you pleading?
Not guilty.
Okay, you had a license you want to show me?
Oh, I was working towards going into class for my permanent stuff.
Okay, just to
I'm
be
sorry.
clear, before I take your plea, let me let you know. At trial, what a jury's gonna ask is, on January 29th, 2021, were you licensed to drive the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
You were?
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm sorry.
So you want a trial for that? You want to see if they agree that you were licensed?
No, ma'am.
Okay, because if you plead not guilty, you're saying, I want a jury to decide whether I'm guilty. And you will
Yes, ma'am.
waive teen court as an option, you'll waive your dismissal options, and you'll go to trial, and if they find you guilty, you'll owe $181.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how are you pleading to the charge?
Guilty.
Okay. We'll talk about what you were in the process of doing in a moment, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
On the failing to yield right-of-way turning left at an intersection, how are you pleading?
Not guilty.
Okay, so you want a trial for that one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, do you have a license now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Where are you in the process of getting that license?
I'm not sure yet.
You don't know where you are?
No, ma'am.
You don't know if you've taken any steps to get a license?
No, ma'am. I was working towards trying to get it by next year to start getting my permit.
Okay, you were thinking of getting a license? Is that a
Yes,
fair
ma'am.
statement?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you thought, well, I've thought about getting a license so I can drive a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no, you cannot. It is illegal for you to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? All right. I want to get really clear about that because I'm thinking about teen court. And teen
Yes, ma'am.
court is not just about saving money and getting a dismissal. It's about learning. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And one thing you need to learn is if you think you want to do something, that doesn't mean that you're authorized to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, like I think I'd like to fly a plane, but should I go just get one and fly it? Would that be safe for me to just go grab a plane and take off?
No, ma'am.
No, there might be some rules, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Same is true for a car. Do you know that if you take a car and you hit somebody with a car, do you know what that's called? You
No, ma'am.
run someone over with a car, do you know what that is?
No, ma'am.
The law says that's assault with a deadly weapon. Okay. You can kill people with a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. It's just like grabbing a gun and not knowing how to operate a gun and using a gun. Should somebody grab a gun that they've never know nothing about and start playing with it?
No, ma'am.
Right. Should you play with a car?
No, ma'am.
Bingo. Now, I'm willing to do teen court on that case, but it's a $20 fee. Can you pay that fee today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'll send you to a driving class, a driving safety course, I suppose, although I'm thinking more like life skills. She's 15 and she's not able to get a license yet. And right now I'm thinking choices are an issue. So I'm talking with the case manager, and what we're kind of making eye contact. What we think is best would be a life skills class online
Yes,
where
ma'am.
you just explore like how to make decisions in the,
Yes,
in the healthiest way, in the most rational way for yourself. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to order a life skills class. And how many hours do we have? I'm going to go with 20. Mhm. It's a 20-hour class. Okay. Now, I need to make sure Dad understands, and I understand some Spanish, but like him, I'm not particularly great at speaking it. Let him know instead of $181, it's $20, but you have to pay for a class that's going to be about 70. About $60. Lots cheaper than the 181.
Yes, ma'am.
talk to him about that for a moment. Let me hear you talk about that.
Mejor de que vas a pagar, como si los $100 y todo eso, mejor me van a dar clase.
Okay.
$60 para clase.
Sí.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, so I need that within a month.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you're gonna, when you come up today to sign for that, you're also, you're also going to sign up to do the pretrial process on your other case because
Yes, ma'am.
you're contesting that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the pretrial would be March 25th. And then there's a final pretrial on May 5th.
Yes, ma'am.
And you'll sign for those two.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
first one is Zoom like this, and I'll be there. And the last one in May is live here in the court, and I'll be there too. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When are you coming up here today? Are you going to be here before lunch?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. A quick question. Was there an accident on the other case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is insurance covering that class? I mean, that accident?
Todavía no sabemos.
We're still not sure yet.
Okay. That's something that you'll want to bring with you if you know to your pretrial.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the prosecutor will probably, she's going to look carefully at that case.
Yes, ma'am.
And she'll try to look from your perspective as well as the other person's.
Yes, ma'am.
And it matters a lot if there's not a victim, it's important, And if you hit somebody and insurance says it's your fault and they cover it, that's probably something where the prosecutor would be more lenient than if there's a contest about that. Because
Yes, ma'am.
we try not to weigh in on that. Okay. So I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
kind of letting you know, just a hint for how to help yourself there. Okay. All
Oh,
right.
man.
We'll see you before noon. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a quick question regarding the pretrial.
Who are we talking? Who's talking?
Her old brother.
You're the brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as far as the pretrials, that same day, because I found out about the accident through Facebook since they had posted on Facebook, and I got in contact with a bunch of residents that live near the area, and then I was just wondering if it's appropriate for me to take screenshots from people's posts on Facebook from
Okay.
that day.
Okay. So you're welcome to draw any information to the attention of the prosecutor, respectfully. I'm not going to tell you that that's admissible in court.
Okay.
I don't know if it is or not. I
Okay.
couldn't tell you ahead of time. I'd have to see it. But as far as just like having a discussion, you can have a discussion with her about it. But as far as whether that's going to boil down to something a jury can consider, I don't know the answer to that up front.
Okay. I was just wondering because
Yeah, it's a reasonable question. What governs that discussion at a trial are the Texas rules of evidence.
okay.
And I'm not going to say that Facebook is not admissible, but I will say that, perspectives are everything. For example, I'll get people who tell me you can't see that sign, and they take a picture and it looks like you can't see that sign. Well, no, if you stand here, you might not be able to, but you were driving this direction, So perspective matters, time of day matters. Those kinds of things we look at in a different context when we're asking a jury to decide reality, because perception on platforms like that, very different from what may or may not have really been the case at the time. So it's a more strict determination at trial than it is when we're just having a discussion, a maybe kind of thing. Okay.
Those two trials, what would they consist of for both of them? Is it just like split? Is conversation split into 2 days within those two pre-trials?
Not really. A pretrial on Zoom is a private conversation with the prosecutor outside the hearing of the judge. You can just listen or you can talk to her about it.
Okay,
The final pretrial is where we're saying what kind of trial are we doing? What's the bond? Are there pretrial motions, et cetera? So
okay,
it's really, one is to try to maybe resolve it. And the other is we're assuming it's not resolved and we're moving toward trial.
okay,
Just a reminder, when you come by today, the $20 fee for teen court on the no DL charge is cash or check only.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll see y'all then.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you. Have a
ma'am.
good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Westbrook. Let me get you back to video if I could, please, and unmute. Mr. Westbrook, hello. Let me ask you to unmute.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, sir. So just quickly, there's a red light charge and the allocation date is January 4th. If you paid that ticket, it is $269, running a red light. How are you pleading to that charge?
I'm pleading guilty, ma'am.
Okay. And the next one is a no driver's license charge, and that's the same date. If you paid that one, it's $181. How are you pleading to the charge?
I'm pleading guilty, ma'am.
Okay. I wanted to look too and see, I have a payment application that you filled out February 24th. Can
Yes,
you raise
ma'am.
your right hand for me, please? Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the information you've provided is true, correct, and accurate? So help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm showing right now, you're looking for work. You've got food stamps. And you might be paying child support, or are you receiving child support?
Well, what happened, ma'am, with the job? They
Yes.
shut my job down because of the coronavirus,
Okay.
and I wasn't working that long to get unemployment.
Right. Okay. So right now, no income is a fair statement?
I was asking the court, can I please do community service, ma'am?
Yes. Yes. I'm trying to clarify and make sure I'm doing that the right way. Are you owing child support or are you receiving child support?
I'm paying. I mean,
Okay.
I'm paying child support.
Okay. Because you put it in the that you're receiving it, and I
No,
didn't.
man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's
I read.
okay. No, it's fine. It's commonly confusing, and honestly, I didn't see a child listed, so I thought he's probably owing that, and that's mounting some additional stress, I know, for you.
Yes.
So I will order community service, okay? And let me ask you a quick question. Getting your driver's license, what would that look like for you?
The coronavirus.
Okay, getting that to be done.
Yes, ma'am. It's like where I'm from Cameron, Texas,
Yes,
and
sir.
they not even I understand they opened up Texas today, but they wasn't even allowing people to come in the office.
Right.
You had to do it online, so I had to keep waiting, and I'm waiting to hear back from them.
Okay, keep pushing. I think things are going to start opening back up a bit.
Yes, ma'am.
I just, sometimes I can steer people in a good direction for getting their license, but it sounds like you already know what to do. It's a
Yes,
question
ma'am.
of getting it done. And I'd love to see you get a driver's license so that I
Me
don't keep
too,
seeing
ma'am.
you on that. But I don't have any holds or anything on your license, so you should be, from my perspective, you're good to go.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll order community service for these two new matters. 23 hours total for both together. That's the
Yes, ma'am.
total. And Cameron's an okay place to do it. You don't have to drive to Temple.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have anything listed over there on my list, but on the list, what you'll see is nonprofits are approved. I don't take food donations. I don't take paid for nonprofit. Like, I've had people pay and do community service classes. I don't take that. Okay.
Yes,
Because if
ma'am.
you can pay for those things, you can pay your tickets. The
Yes,
purpose of community service is go find a free opportunity to help your community, document it properly, and I'll give you credit. Okay. So your church is fine. Your food banks are fine. I think there's a Goodwill or Salvation Army out there where sometimes people have turned in some hours. The city is fine. Fire department's fine. The library's fine. The animal services department's fine. Anything like that. Okay. Now I can email you the information to the email we use to set this up. There's a waiver form that I need back today. Can you print it at home and take a photograph and email it back to me?
I'm titled to a fax machine. How about I just fax it to you now?
Fax is great. Fax is great. So many people don't have one anymore. I forgot to ask you. That'd be fine. That'd be fine. I just want to get that from you. I want to get you the information that you need to find a provider. And your deadline right now is going to be May 4th. If you wind up needing more time, just don't miss the deadline to ask me for more time. Email me, mail or fax.
Yes, ma'am.
And say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm doing it. Here's how much I've done already. And this is how much time I think I need. And I'll keep working with you if we need to. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you wind up with questions, use that email that you did to get the appointment today. Email us and communicate. Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. This is the way to get it done, and then just put it behind you. Try to get a license and
With the fax, is the fax machine? I mean, is the fax number on the docket that you sending me?
it should be. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right,
Thank
Mr. Westbrook, if you wind up with problems or questions or you hit a hang up, just call or email and we'll work with you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You hang in there, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. I will end the